is therefore suitable for general family viewing.
Good morning and welcome to Chungu cha Jamii. At Chungu, we seek to give you hope, we seek to give you life, happiness and joy that can keep your life. Today, we are having guests in studio. I have a pastor lady and a gentleman. We're going to be talking about keeping marriage alive. Join me in this show. My name is Betty Akuko, I'm your host. Our SMS line is 21144. We're also on YouTube Live at GBS Kenya. Please feel free to text us in and ask us all your concerns and questions about keeping marriage alive. I would welcome my guests to introduce themselves, starting with the lady.
Good morning. My name is Cynthia Waboyo Tieno. I'm a pastor, relationship coach, and I'm passionate about marriages. I'm passionate about relationships.
Wow. Welcome, Cynthia.
Thank
it's good to have you.
Thank you.
And the gentleman?
Well, good morning, viewers. My name is Timothy Omondi. I'm a deacon in the church that I attend, and I'm also a mind education specialist. So I'm really glad to be here and also to share together this topic.
Welcome. I'm so excited to have you guys as my guests today, and I'm also very sure that the viewers are looking forward to learning great things about marriage, because a lot of our marriages today last a year, 2 years, and we don't have them anymore. When people are getting together, people are organizing very expensive weddings, and all of them are geared towards, you know, happily ever after. What is it that doesn't bring this dream to come to pass, Cynthia?
I believe that when a couple is getting married, they per se do not get married and make up their mind that there's an expiration date to this marriage.
I know.
So every couple getting married is dreaming for a happily ever after. But what happens is, what is in that happily ever after? What are their expectations that they're getting into this marriage that they have and are possibly not, they're not being met in the relationship? It could also be that they're getting into this relationship with already past baggage, past issues in the relationship, and either in that particular relationship or past relationships or family issues.
Okay.
Those are some of the dynamics that are going to affect a relationship in terms of how long it's going to last. There is today a generation that we are bringing up, and I don't want to to cast blame on a certain generation, but I'm saying that we are the microwave generation.
Okay.
We want to have everything right now. When it comes to happiness, we want to put it in the microwave and actually go deet, 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 and happily ever after. We don't want to do the work. So when troubles come and when issues come, we actually are ready to exit as fast as the issues came in. So those are some of the things that are affecting us right now.
I know when people were getting married in the olden days, marriage had such thick walls connected together with no exit door. Wherever they hit, you were to bear it. And we never saw things like divorce in our parents and in our old aunties' times. Once you got locked into the marriage room, you were there to live or die. And death is what would say this marriage is now finished. But today, on the several walls we have inside our marriage, each wall has an exit door. And I'm just wondering, how do we keep marriage alive? Timothy, what is your take when it comes to keeping marriage alive? Is it that we are not taught how to keep marriage alive? Or is it our generation that wants the pesa pap happiness or happiness pap? You know, the way, like Cynthia says, I want happiness, it's now, or if not now, it's not gonna be. And if there's no happiness, then I quit.
Well, I think I'll just pick it from where Cynthia left it.
Yes.
You know, put the dish in the microwave and happiness, and then you...
I know.
I think part of the reason why today our marriages are facing a lot of problems is how do we define happiness? How do we define love? What is our definition? I mean, if you talk to our fathers, our aunties, like you're saying, that generation, to them, getting into marriage was a lifetime commitment.
Yeah.
As opposed to, you know, what are the expectations? Of course, like like Cynthia said, no one gets into marriage thinking, okay, there's an expiry date to this. But besides that, in this generation that we are in today, I mean, it's a fact. We cannot sweep it under the carpet. That there are big issues. But then the most important thing is the definition of such basic things like love in that marriage, happiness in that. How do you define happiness? I mean, if happiness is a big house and a big car and a good job.
A lot of people have it and they're not happy.
Exactly. And so I think that's why, as we also, you know, the world is becoming a global village. And then we are getting a lot of information in. And if we are not able to sieve that and tell what is fact from fiction, if you want to live, you know, the Spanish haciendas and, you know, the soap operas that we watch on TV, that's not real life. Those are scripts.
Not real life.
I mean, and if you look at that world, it's a scripted world.
But that's the preparation that we are having today. Our young people are watching this as preparation to get into marriage. So when they get into marriage, the expectation is, this guy has better treat me like this. And this woman had better be this kind of a wife. So if I don't get this out of them, then I'm out, you know, because who teaches people how to live and how to prepare for marriage, you know?
As you say that, I once had a very interesting conversation.
Yeah.
He's a guy I met for just some business relation, but then he happens to be a CEO of a certain hotel somewhere. He's in the hotel and hospitality industry. But then his wife is a pastor of a very big church of about 1,000 members.
Okay.
But as we are having our conversation, this guy speaks out and then tells me, there's this huge burden that I have on my shoulders. Then I ask, what is this burden? Then he goes like, you know, my wife is a pastor of this big church of about 1,000 members, but there's a desperate problem that we have. Divorce cases. And he went on to tell me, Timothy, I'm not talking about this young generation. I'm talking about people in their 60s and their 70s.
Cynthia, why does that happen? Why would you get married to someone and you have persevered? Because if you are 60, you have not been married at 50. Okay, if that is also your case, then you have been married for 10 years if you got married at 50. But if you are 60 now, my assumption is that because you have come from that previous generation, you probably got married at 25, 30, when the days when if you're not 30 and you're not married, then it's a curse. You know, there was that time. Today it's so different. Today you can be 35, and you still and it's like 40. It's no big deal. I mean, I will just get married. It's not fashionable anymore. But then those days, these guys who were 60 today probably got married in their 25, in their 30s. They have been together 25, 30. What is it they couldn't do that the marriage is now dying and they want to throw it off? They're now having divorce conversations after having been in it this long. Has it just been perseverance? How come they were not able to keep it alive? What didn't they do?
I will explain it this way. There's this wonderful book that has been locally written by Carol and Murithi Wanjau, and it's called Ndoa. And in the Ndoa book, which I actually teach premarital counseling, and different people have taught this class, there's 4 stages of marriage. Okay. Once we get married, the first 2 years is called the honeymoon phase.
The first 2 years.
The first 2 years. Okay. The honeymoon phase, or we call it the dream stage. The dream stage is where we are in the clouds. Yani, we are right up there.
I know.
Whenever I see you, I will not talk about the mistakes that you have. I'm very dreamy about this relationship. I will not correct some of the things that you're doing because I'm still thinking, oh my goodness, you know, she's really trying, isn't it? So that's the first stage. The second stage is called the drama stage. It's between the second year and the 12th year.
Wow.
A whole 10 years.
12th year.
Yes, it's called the drama stage.
Okay.
This is where now, as a married couple, the dream is over, and now the eyes have opened.
Reality
The
checks
veil,
in.
the reality has set in. This is where we tend to start to notice, oh my goodness, I don't like the way he snores. Or I don't like, you start to see the reality. Oh my goodness, he chews so badly. Or she's just so untidy. Or even now the fights begin in terms of, and you've got to realize that during the second year and the 12th year, a lot has happened to this couple. There used to be the two of them, possibly children have set in.
Yes.
There's also financial need. So there's going to be so much that would have happened in this relationship that's imperative at that foundational level for this couple to have built a really good intimacy in the marriage. It means emotional. It means in terms of their communication, their physical intimacy, their psychological intimacy. If that is missing during those years, and this couple has not learned how to be friends, they've not learned how to fight fair in the relationship, they are not communicating effectively, this is what is going to happen to this couple. Psychologists and marriage therapists have said that they are the most likely during that stage. Average is between the 6th and the 7th year, they will tend to part ways.
Wow.
If they don't part ways, then you will see the effects much later.
Oh,
they never
really?
dealt with the issues. They never dealt with all the things that they needed to talk about. They had financial issues that they never dealt with. They had communication issues. Maybe there was infidelity swept under the carpet. And issues were there, but
So they
never
only
dealt with.
persevered?
They persevered. They became just glorified roommates.
They never talked to anybody about it?
They never talked to anybody
They
about
just swallowed it
Maybe
in.
they did, but they never effected the work that was needed.
Okay.
Then the third stage is called discovery stage. Discovery stage is where we as a couple have learned from our mistakes in drama stage, and we have actually begun to accept. There's a lot of acceptance. There's a lot of synergy at discovery stage. Now, this particular couple have survived drama.
Okay.
And the biggest thing for them is become good friends and be a couple that has scheduled to be intimate.
So who do you consider to have overcome drama?
Because
if they went up to 12th year of their marriage and they didn't go apart at 6 or 7 years,
Yes.
so they either hid or conversed and never did that effectively, or they actually did it effectively.
Yes.
Who is the one who survived?
the thing is,
survived?
survival is for the couple that are real, that have been able to deal with all the issues during drama stage, or are continually, you know, it's like this, it's for you to decide, are we here for the happily ever after? How does happy, like what he said, have they defined what happily ever looks like? How have they defined what does a good fight look like? And are we fighting each other or fighting issues? Are we the couple that is going to survive? Even if, are we here for the children or are we here for each other? Now, the couple that we were talking about at 60, 70, when you see a couple living at 60 and 70, don't think it's the 60 and 70 years. Remember, there has been over 20 or 30 years of marriage that possibly has been swept under the carpet, never dealt with issues. These guys left each other a long time ago, but they were in the same house.
So their hearts were never together?
Their hearts were never together.
Their bodies.
They made up their mind, or individually, that we are here for the children. Or our business is so successful, we cannot leave each other now. Or, what will people say?
I know.
You know, so there are a lot of dynamics. We've seen that happen, and it's the biggest thing that I tell couples is be able at the foundational stage to be a great couple that is able to communicate even the good, the bad, and the ugly, and continue to build. And let me tell you something, Betty. There's no time that you will ever feel you're there. The couple that thinks they're there are not there yet. because you're
It's an
never
illusion.
there. Yes.
It's an illusion.
Yes.
You're never there.
You're never there.
You continuously
it's
have
a
to
work in progress. The couple that continually enriches their marriage. Enriching means, are we always asking ourselves the right questions? Are we trying to enrich our marriage by actually doing marriage ceremonies, retreats? Do we take time to build this relationship?
You know, once I had a lady speak and say, until you have been married by a man 10 years, don't even brag about saying, my name is Mrs. Otieno like you. You know, don't even stand before people and brag in that way. I have been wanting to ask, really, what did she mean? How come you can't proudly say at 5 years, at 6 years, that I am Mrs. So-and-so? Is it because of the troubles that wait you on that path? You know, why shouldn't I easily just say that?
Wow. You know something, Betty? I would beg to differ with her because I'm a pastor, and I believe as you stand in front of the witnesses, you're entering a covenant
On that very day.
On that very day.
That very day, your
Yes.
title is changing.
Your title
you are
changes.
Miss, and now you become a Mrs.
Yes, and the thing is that when we're giving the rings, we say that I give you this ring
Yes.
as a sign of our marriage or this covenant. With my body, I honor you. All that I am, I give to you, including the name, for goodness sake. Hiya. Including the name. So that means transformation happens, and even the mind shift should take place. So even if you're 1 week old, you're Mrs. Otieno. And let me tell you something, the name, I don't think the name is what makes you Mrs.
True.
I think it's the attitude of your heart. It's the commitment that you make every day, every morning. I usually tell people this, and they find that very strange. I make up my mind every morning to be Mrs. Otieno.
You make up your mind.
Every morning. I look at that man who I love so much, Mr. Otieno, where you are? Good morning. And I usually say, I make up my mind. It's a decision. It's a decision to be married. It's a decision to fall in love every morning. Of course, it's a decision. It's not a feeling. So it's not. There's no way you will wake up and say, "Oh, I don't feel you today."
Yesterday you annoyed me, so annoyed.
I don't feel
Timothy,
you.
from a mind education specialist point of view, I don't know what you feel about couples who just get married and they already have it in their mind that for 3 years we are going to have to fight a big fight. We will settle after this time. Because when you go to people, most people tell you, how long have you been married? 3 years. You still have many fights to do. You know, you wait until, you know, when are you supposed to make up your mind and now decide, you know what? For me, it's not going to be the first, the second, the third. I'm not going to follow this set path, you know. For me, my marriage is going to work. It is a perfect one.
You know, conflict in marriage, and not just in marriage, but in any other society, is very healthy. And if you see a society that there's no conflict whatsoever, then that in itself is a problem.
True.
Like she said, I mean, the first 2 years, it's honeymoon. I mean, we are dreaming. I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but there's some things you cannot even do when you're sleeping, you know. When you're sleeping by yourselves, there's some things you just do covering your head, right? But then in those first 2 years, you're very careful. But then when now you're living, and then we are living now, then you start letting them out.
Yes.
And that's when you realize, he's like this. Like she was saying, you know, he snores too much. He chews badly. You know.
He farts loudly.
Exactly. I was afraid to say that, but now, thank you, Cynthia. Now I have a lot of confidence.
Allowed to say.
Now you see, when this happens, it is always good. I mean, it's very healthy. Hey, honey, I don't like the way you chew. I'm sorry, when I drink tea or hot stuff, I use. So, one time I had my wife telling, you know, in a sitting, like, you know, he drinks water like he drinks tea like he's drinking uji. And I'm like, really? You had to say that? Now, see this, Betty. I remember my first fight with my wife, our first fight. You know, It was after a year, almost a year and a half, our first fight ever. What was it about? My mother-in-law had visited. And then when my mother-in-law visited, of course she brought some, you know, I'm married to a Kikuyu, by the way. My wife is called Helen Nyambura. So from where I come from, there's the way we prepare things like arrowroots, yams, and stuff. But now, from their side, there's a way they also prepare that. At my place, we, you know, peel off, you know, and then we wash and
then put salt.
And put salt and boil. But on the other side, vilitoka kwa shamba inaoshwa, then it is put into the, then it is
That's
boiled.
Men.
And then I was like, you know, I wasn't sure, is this cooked? And I'm like, I mean, you're that lazy? You could have asked me, how do you cook this? Like, it's not cooked like this. No, it's cooked like this. So it was a fight.
Yeah.
Then at that time, I didn't accept it. But now, I think that time she had gone home and came back. But then now, the next time, it's my mother-in-law now who visited. Sorry for that. Now, when my mother-in-law visited, she brought food stuff now. Now, I was asked to go later after the visitors left, so I was going to unpack the luggage. So when I dipped my hand into the sack, I touched something and it's kind of soft. And I'm like, oh, ilifinywa ama iliharibika. Then after I remove everything, I realized that all these yams, ndoma ndo yam, arrowroots, all these arrowroots are cooked. Then that time, it hit me. That's why she cooked like this. This is how they do it.
That's how she was taught.
Now, Betty, that taught me a very great lesson. You know, unless there is conflict, we cannot really define the lines where to go and where not to go. And like she said, it takes those many years for all these things to reveal themselves. But then the problem that many couples face today is because people don't want to meet each other's heart. They just want to see what she's doing, what she's not doing. You know, the first, I would call it love. Yes, you loved each other, that's why you got married. But then those first years, like she was saying, the first 2 years, I heard that today, and thank you for that advice. I now understand why many things happen in between.
Until 12 years.
Exactly. I'm in my 11th year, going 12 now. But then, when you look at this, many people just want the superficial kind of relationship.
True.
No one wants to go in there. But how do you go in there? By meeting the other person's heart. Forget what they do, forget why they're doing it. If you find their heart, then you'll understand where they're coming from. And I think, like she mentioned, I believe that that would be, you know, a game changer in terms of how we treat each other and how far our marriage can go. So meeting the other person's heart, as opposed to just looking at the superficial causes and whatever is being displayed in the outside, that's very important. Yes.
I get you, Cynthia. You want to say something?
I wanted to add something because what he said is pretty profound, is meeting each other. But the thing, I want to add to that because that's really, really critical, because that's part of keeping marriage alive, is being able to be very naked. The Bible says in Genesis chapter 2, verse 24, we quote it all over the place, my goodness. And it's beautiful, but we don't understand why we are quoting it.
Means.
So Genesis 2:24 says that a man, okay, it's a man or woman to be, shall leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife. And then we leave it at that. But the other part says that they cleave to his wife, and they were naked and unashamed. Naked and unashamed means that I am open, freed to be me and to give me to my spouse. So what happens is that disclosure for this couple means being able to be open and unafraid and unashamed before the other person.
True.
Keeping marriage alive for me means for Dawn and myself, we got married when we were a bit older. We were 35, and we've been married now for 10 years, so you know how old I am. And what we did before we got married, also a cross-cultural relationship.
Yeah.
So it means that I am so Kikuyu and he's so Luo. Very, as in, it comes out, yeah?
Yes.
You know, by
Yes.
the fact that we're different.
Yes.
But what we decided to do is that what kind of marriage do we want to have?
Did someone walk you through
Define
that
us.
journey?
We did before, in terms of premarital counseling. But before even we did premarital counseling, we sat down, the two of us, and agreed what kind of marriage do we want to have. Number two, we said, what are our differences? Let's put every difference we have on the table, including cultural difference, how we name children, how we bury people, how we... cultural stood out. Then we talked about in terms of what are the family differences.
Okay.
You know, you, as we like eating at the dining table, you guys will. These people like doing this. You pray before, everybody prays after. You know, and it's important to put everything on the table. You know why? You get to actually understand why they act the way they do.
So how do you agree, Cynthia?
Yes.
Do you agree by taking one person's, did he, like, for example, in your case, agree we will name our children the way you guys do and we'll bury our people the way us
people
guys
do.
do?
Yes.
Or did you like rubbish both cultures and say we want to have our own?
This is what we did. We put all our differences down. Differences meaning, what are the things that are different? And then on one side, this piece of paper had another side. What are our similarities? What are the things that are common? And we agreed that we are Christians. We agreed that one of the things that brings us together is the fact that we have a deep faith in God. So when it came to naming, we decided we're going to name our children. We chose Hebrew names. Okay, so they have Hebrew names. If it's a Kikuyu name, it's an attribute. Okay, an attribute, a Christian attribute. So we said, you know what? Let's not define ourselves by a culture, either Kikuyu or Luo. Let's call our children this.
Yes.
And we both agreed, and then we spoke to our parents. Then when it came to other customs, we also said which ones, what do we want to do as a couple that really embodies our coming together? You see, not everybody will agree with what we do.
I know,
but
that's listening
why
to you, Cynthia. I'm thinking this is the direction people need to go, to just get neutral. Because a lot of people fight for cultural reasons. And the other thing listening to you that I get is, it's even better to get married when you're more mature. When
I
you
totally
have,
agree.
you know, because imagine a 21-year-old or a 19-year-old getting into marriage with all these cultures and things of themselves, not willing to let go, as in I have to name my daughter after my mother, you know. I have to, and you know, people do these things because they're thinking of the future. So in case you're not going to be together forever, what will happen? My mother's generation just dies off, you know. People do these things for cultural reasons a lot.
Betty, this can be a hot topic. It's very dicey. And you know, the thing is that as a pastor, we have to counsel people prayerfully. Because the decision we made, Dawn and I, is not everybody's decision. These two people have to have the conviction. They have to feel a certain way. Now, we have friends who have named after their parents, and there's nothing wrong with that. All it is the power of agreement and the power of negotiation. So if these two people can agree, and there's nothing wrong with the fact that, you know, if you two believe this is what you want to do. For us, we had just gotten married right after post-election violence. And so for us, we felt, what is the unifying factor? When our children go to school, we want them to be known as Kenyans before they're known as Luo or Kikuyu. Oh, of course, they have the last name Otieno, they have the last, you know, they know very much, you know, I stand out as Wamboi Otieno. But the beauty is that they understand the two communities. We actually celebrate the cultures. We celebrate the fact that we are, you know, we are a mixed cross-cultural culture. But at the same time, they understand the God factor above all else. And I think that's what's the big thing.
Very nice. I want us to take a short break, viewer. Our SMS line is 21144. We are coming back to actually know how can you keep your dying marriage alive, and even though it's not dying, how can you rescue it from not dying, and just keep it alive as you continue growing older. See you soon.
And this is G Radio.
Hello guys and welcome. This is G Radio, #1 TV show, and we're coming live at GBS TV. And I'm your host, Isaac Tabitha.
I'm the co-host, Evan Chinyari. As usual, we have our DJ Deco. You can also send your views on my Instagram page and Chinyari_it.
And also you can get me on our Facebook page as Isaac Tabitha. Thank you so much, guys.
Keep it here.
People have dominance over themselves. Why? Daddy, no money. Give me money, I'll buy for you. Hey, Daddy, I say I don't have money. Hey, I know, Daddy.
Can the Ethiopian change his skin? Or the leopard its spots?
예수님이 우리의 모든 죄값을 다 지불하시기 때문에 예수님 다 이루었다라고 말씀하셨잖아요.
So Jesus paid for all the wages of our sin. That's why he could say it is finished.
Yesu alipa mshahara wa dhambi deni zetu lote, ndiposa akasema kwamba imekwisha.
Everyone, God is like the supercomputer.
Upendo wa Mungu ni kama hii supercomputer.
Kulipa is now easy with EasyPay. When you shop at your local supermarket, fuel your car, dine out, book a flight, make other payments or pay your bills. You want simplicity, security, and convenience. It's accepted everywhere you see the EasyPay sign. And it works with other mobile networks too. What's more, you can withdraw your cash at the supermarket till where you see the cashback logo. Get your Equitel line or download the Easy Banking app today, because Kulipa is now easy with EasyPay.
Towards the end of 1994, Money magazine published a story about the sharp rise in consumers shopping from home.
That same year, 60 million consumers made $98 billion worth of purchase from home.
And nearly all of it through phone orders prompted by mail catalogs and TV shopping channels.
We as the GBS TV
Home Shopping Fraternity, we adhere to this.
Home decor,
fashion,
food stuff,
and books.
What you see is what you get.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back, viewer. I'm still here with Cynthia and Timothy, taking us through this discussion of keeping marriage alive. I really hope you can take advantage of this moment and learn and rectify where you think you are not going well. Cynthia.
Yes.
I'm thinking of the couples who are hanging on the marriage because of the children. Are they keeping the marriage alive?
I think they're keeping it in ICU. I'm a pastor, but I totally feel that you don't keep a marriage alive because of children. Children leave the nest.
How do you keep the marriage alive?
I totally feel marriage can be kept alive in the same way we keep alive anything that has got to use the elements, the basic elements to survive. Okay? Think about it this way. We've all farmed. I hope you have farmed somewhere.
Yes.
And
even if it's 2 onions.
Atakama, it's even outside your backyard. And what happens is that for it to stay alive, you need the basic elements. You need light, you need water.
Yes.
You need, what else?
Air.
Air. isn't it?
Yes.
This marriage needs very basic things to survive. And you have to be very intentional with what I'm going to give into this relationship. First of all, to keep marriage alive, I totally am from the school of thought is be intentional. Be intentional that and have the intent that I'm going to do everything that I need to do to keep this marriage going. So it's not just
that the responsibility of the woman?
No. I'm speaking to both a man and a woman.
That the man must give her 100% for the marriage to survive.
So I'm speaking to a couple. That's who I'm speaking to. That when it comes to survival in marriage, is that it will require both of you to give 100.
Both.
Both. I'm giving 100%. He gives 100%.
Okay.
And you don't give 100 as you look on the other side. Hey, amefanya nini? You know, you give.
You do your 100.
You do your part. Play your part. Number two, it will require you to actually acknowledge what are the things we need to do to keep this marriage going. And intentionality means is that how is our communication? Are we communicating what we need to communicate at the point in time? How are we fighting? Are we fighting fair? Are we able to resolve the issues that we currently have when it comes to money? Are we able to resolve issues that have come up because of family in-laws?
When people try to resolve, they only end up arguing. And then they throw in the towel and everyone goes their way.
I think it plays to what Cynthia is trying to say. When you're doing it, you're not doing it for the other person. You're doing it for yourself. There's a book she quoted in the book of Genesis. And the man shall leave his mother and shall cling to his wife. And the two shall become one. I think the Bible meant both of these people will leave their parents and come together and become one.
But there's a misunderstanding. There's also the part where the Bible says that the woman, because she's the one clinging, because she's the one who leaves her home, then she has to do more, you know, to keep alive on this side. At the same time, the woman has to, why is it skipping my mind? The woman is the one who has to sacrifice, and she responds to what the husband does. Like the Bible says, husbands, love your wives, and women, submit. So people are usually locked in this conversation of, he first loves, then I submit. Is that how it's supposed to be? Because listening to you, you're saying everybody does their part without looking at the other. But a lot of women, I don't know, say, he doesn't love. How do I submit? Is it possible to submit to a man who doesn't love you?
Okay. That's now shifted to love and submit.
Okay.
The thing about Ephesians chapter 5 you have to understand is that it starts with first submit one to another.
Okay.
That's the first part, is that we are to submit one to another. Submission, there's that part that the Bible speaks. And then it then goes into husbands, love your wives as Christ loves the church. Now, you've got to notice something has shifted. He didn't say men. He says husbands, meaning in the role of marriage, a husband is to love his wife like Christ loves the church.
Yes.
And that's a statement that is fully loaded that we can preach for the next 3 weeks. Then it doesn't live there. I feel like it's a responsibility that has been given to the man that you know, for you to actually unlock this woman, there's something called love. And it's very hard for men because they don't know love in any other language. Okay? Then wives have been told, submit. Submit, which means respect, revere your husband.
Yes.
Again, submission is difficult because it means that I will have an opinion or I will have a certain feeling about something. I will speak it, but I am supposed to submit, okay, to my husband, okay, because he is the head. Now, what happens is that we've both been given responsibility. We've both been given our JD, okay? When we go to a job, like right now, you're working. You have a job description. Once you've been given a job by somebody, do you come to your boss and you say, hey boss, me, today, this JD, Swizmik. First of all, I want to do this, because I feel like this. The boss will tell you, what is your problem? See, I gave you a job. So God has given us a job.
Yes.
And he says, this is the way to unlock love in this man. Submit to him. And you, man, to unlock submission in this woman, love her. Now, what will happen is that you will find when a man is unable to love his wife, the direct proportion of it is that submission will be difficult for the woman. And if the woman is unable to submit, love will not happen naturally. So what happens is that when I find that I have difficulty in submission, I will find that my husband will have difficulty in loving me. So it means that we both have to play our part.
Okay.
And
we both
submission
have to
is
give
not
100%.
Yes, submission is not subserviency. Submission is not slavery. I hear this a lot with the girls. Please, girls, listen to me. Don't close your minds. Submission is respect. Okay? Respect and respect as Christ himself has done that for the church. He has loved the church. He has loved. So that's what...
Cynthia, there are people a lot today who are trying to do physical things or even things out of their way to keep the marriage alive. And the deception out there is the man wants you to look in a certain way. So you will try to go without meals to keep a certain figure. You'll try to go out of your way to wear certain clothes, to look a certain way, you know, and try cook certain meals to keep the marriage alive. Are these things sustainable? Are they doing it the right way?
Let me tell you something, Betty. The difficulty here is actually sitting and saying, this is the way to keep marriage alive. You've got to make your hair like this, make it gold, make it red, and then wear this. I believe it's the ball is on the couple's room or the couple's conversation. These two need to sit down and say, what really makes me attracted to you? You know, I really like it when you wear this.
So the woman has to get out of her seat
and
go besides the man.
Yes,
and
the man the same
literally ask, like you said, they better make it intentional. And ask, what is it that is not working in this marriage that you want fixed? That is the direction they need to go. Because people are looking outside, and then they look at a certain couple, they're like, wow, they're so perfect. So your husband looks on the side, and this marriage is, you know, he's coming home late, he's not happy with something that you don't even know. So you try, he ate this in a restaurant and was so happy. You want to try and make the same. You know, he likes so-and-so because they dress in a certain way. So you also want to try. This is what now they should do.
You see, the thing is that if we look at the Joneses' grass, remember they are watering their grass. Let's water our own grass. And let me tell you something, what works for the Joneses does not work for me.
I know.
So you as a couple, if you sit down and decide what works for our marriage, there's a beautiful book, Betty, called The 5 Love Languages. And that's part of now keeping marriage alive. Is that, can you discover what language your husband or your wife speaks? Have you even begun to unlock the language? Because sometimes you'll hear a couple say that, you know, he doesn't truly understand me. He doesn't truly meet my need. Okay, are you... Does he understand his language? Does he understand what language he speaks to you? Because remember, we all have different languages that we speak. Okay? I have the 5 love languages. Let me quickly say that there's touch, there's quality time, there's affirmation, there's gifts, and there's, what's the 5th one? I can't remember. The thing is that we all speak in those 5 languages. Now, if I come into this relationship and all I give you is words of affirmation, but yet your language of love is gifts, that anytime I write you a note, you feel, oh wow, she really truly loves me, then I should try and learn your language so that I can fill your cup. You see, you came and filled this glass with water, okay? Unfortunately, is that we keep drawing this water. It has to be filled. No one is putting in. You have to fill this cup for me to feel, or your spouse to feel, loved, accepted, celebrated, and valued. The question you need to ask yourself is your spouse, every time you have an encounter with them, do they feel valued?
Okay.
Do they feel celebrated? When you left each other in the morning, did you feel you were valued, celebrated, and even acknowledged?
Did you intend to be a Mrs.
Yes.
of that man
And
that
the same
morning?
vice versa. Is your spouse saying that wherever he is at, that even if somebody's passed there in front of him with a skirt that looked like from here until Jesus Christ, that he feels he's so valued and he's so accepted and celebrated that he'll still go home and eat his
So Cynthia,
modokoi.
there are people who would actually say, we are so different. I don't even know how we got married in the same, from the beginning.
Yeah.
Because this is what I like, he doesn't like this at all. I really like to go out. This man is the quiet, boring type. He will sit here and read newspapers. And these things you have just discovered while in the marriage, you know, maybe after the drama.
Yeah.
So what are you supposed to do? How do you keep such a marriage alive?
Let me tell you
Do you
something.
force him to go out with you? I have had people complain, this guy is so boring. On a Saturday, he wants to sit here. Me, I want to go out to do shopping and blah, blah, blah. But he wants to just sit here.
Let me tell
Do
you
you force
something.
him to come to you? Do you stay here?
The thing is that it's so funny. Why I'm laughing is because when I got married to a quiet one. Very quiet. And I thought, oh my goodness, I need to inject him with some energy. I am loud, I am vibrant, I am the one who will be the loudest in the room. Him, he's just quiet. And at first I knew I'm going to change this man to become like me. Woe unto me. Because of course there was serious conflict. And I realized that opposites, initially that's what attracted me to him, is that he was different. He was amazingly quiet. He was not moved by my drama, isn't it? And he could tell me something and it moves me. But now after a while I thought, this is so boring. I need some vibrancy, you know? But the thing is that we had to learn our different temperaments.
I want you to tell us that when you're giving a parting shot. I'll start with Timothy, because you're out of time.
Maybe I'll just add on to draw from what she said and a question that you asked earlier as my parting shot. What many people don't know is, you know, do I have rule? When we're married, do I have rule over my own body? The Bible says no. When two people are married, my wife has rule over my body. Does she have rule over her own body?
No.
I have rule over her body, meaning I have rule over her. So it means it is me to make you and you to make me. And that's what actually makes, when you look at marriage in the Bible, marriage is so sacred. Marriage is a big mystery. Actually, marriage is more spiritual than many people even think.
True. Okay. True.
And so I believe that for people to actually be able to keep their marriage alive, apart from the many things that we've spoken about and many advices that we've given, the basic thing I would say is if people can know God and the Word of God, then the definition of how to keep marriage alive is inscribed there in the Bible.
Good.
Amen.
Thank you, Pastor.
Amen. That was such an amazing parting shot. I would say that be intentional. Actually learn your spouse and make it a lifelong journey. Okay. Because I believe that marriage is not a destination, it's a journey. In this journey, there's going to be different things that you're going to see. There will be a detour, but go together, even if there's a detour, and learn what are the things that we need to learn and actually come out of this place better, become better people for each other for the long haul.
Okay. Thank you so much, Cynthia, for coming. It
You're
has
very
really
welcome.
been beautiful. Thank you, Timothy, also
Thank you for having us.
been in our show. Thank you, viewer. It has been awesome. I hope you have learned lots and lots of things. One of the take-homes that I have is that marriage is not a destination. It is a journey. So don't look at other people and judge and say, these guys have made it. They are not yet there. So don't despise yourself. Only work out what you need to work out. There's no time you have qualified. There is no time you have made it. And your marriage will always be alive. I've been your host. My name is Betty Akuku. See you next time.